It's been almost 4 years since my dad died. Recently, I have been on a 4-day backpacking trip to Goat Rocks with Wild Grief, an organization that leads wilderness trips for kids who are grieving a death. Each day of our trip had a different theme for dealing with grief. The theme for the first day was accept the loss. A fitting metaphor because our first day of the trip was grueling. We gained 1,500 feet in altitude, covered 5 miles, and I was carrying a 30-pound pack. That first day was the hardest, similar to when I was told my dad had died. I was 9 at the time. It was early on a Friday morning when I found out. My mom was upset and told me to come downstairs. I knew something was wrong. When I went downstairs, my mom was sitting on the couch and my sister was next to her. She was upset. My mom said, "Tristan, your dad died." I fell into the big black chair in disbelief and let it sink in. I was so confused. My dad was only 45, and he was dead. Adapt was the theme for the second day of our backpacking trip. We need to adapt to the world without the person who died. It rained that day, so we had to adapt our camping trip for our environment. I have had to adapt to my life without my dad. I get high self-esteem from my dad. He was a decisive person, but if he did change his mind, he was confident about the new direction. I'm 13 now, and I feel I'm stronger, more confident, and more resilient than the last time he saw me. My dad was creative and outdoorsy. He took us backpacking a lot, and it made me feel physically strong. I remember Dad made us drink our milk. He would lift up his leg to make us think that we had lifted it. I thought I was really strong, and so I always drank my milk. I now realize that the backpacking trips with my dad helped me be prepared for the trip with Wild Grief. My dad is still my dad, but he's no longer my dad. He's no longer here, so he can't fulfill his purpose as a dad. At 13, so much of my life is changing. I don't feel like I have a male role model. My mom needs to teach me what my dad could have. I have a stepdad, but we're not really all that close. I don't know what I'm missing by not having a father figure. There are many things my mom is teaching me, but it's not the same as having a dad. Like how to tie a tie, how to shave, and I will never get my dad's bad dating advice. And there are probably many other things a dad should teach his son, but I have no idea what they might be. I only saw my dad every other weekend and 6 weeks during the summer, so I don't have many memories of my dad. I'm grasping to remember the memories I do have. We spent every other major holiday with my dad, but always spent the 4th of July with him. It was always a fun time because we were with friends at a lakeside house. We'd hang out on the dock and I'd play with other kids, and we would shoot off fireworks. I realize I took time with my dad for granted. No 9-year-old thinks their parent will die without illness or trauma. Halloween was a big deal for my dad. He loved it. We didn't actually celebrate on Halloween, but close to the actual day. We carved pumpkins and roasted pumpkin seeds. We always watched The Corpse Bride or The Nightmare Before Christmas. I had a lot of good memories of my dad around Halloween, but it is upsetting that he died so close to it. His death was on October 8th. Now Halloween is not as special anymore. It is not as fun without him. My dad liked to sail. He had his own boat in college. He took me and my sister out one time. I remember lots of little boats at the dock, and that he chose a specific one for us to use. I don't know why though. It was a fun experience being with my dad, which I didn't get to do much. My dad used to take me and Daphne trout fishing. I occasionally caught fish, but my dad always brought sardines for us to eat in case we didn't catch anything. He didn't think we would like them though. The first time I ate sardines, they were really yummy. I felt close to my dad when I was fishing with him. The rest of the time, I felt a little abandoned by him. On the third day of the backpacking trip, the theme was feel the feelings and emote the emotions. You need to express your emotions and not bottle them up. I don't know what I would tell my dad if he were here. I feel like I would just hug him if I had a chance to meet him again and feel his grizzly beard. I miss him more than words can tell, but a part of me also wants to punch him because he died and left me. I think I do bottle up my emotions, and that might be why I like playing video games. There are not a lot of words to express the anger I have for my dad killing himself. The way I let those emotions out is by playing lacrosse. I wish my dad could see me playing lacrosse. On the fourth day of the trip, the theme was to create a new relationship with the person who died. That was the day we went home, so I have to do this on my own. We are supposed to think of the person not as living, but also not as gone, similar to the kids' book The Giving Tree. There are things my dad can still give me. Looking back on the last day of backpacking, I feel like I was on this theme before I went on the trip. I also feel like my dad was with me even though he wasn't physically present. My relationship with my dad was occasional at best. The memories I have of him are largely secondary. I never had the opportunity to question my dad about his past, and specifically his more questionable actions. But I'm sure it would have come up when I was older. I learned about my dad from my mom, and now that I know more about him, I can learn from his mistakes and also what he did well, in order to make my life better and someday be a good father myself. Little details will change over time. I'm afraid I will forget everything.